5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not exactly Cape Canaveral, but it was still a spectacular liftoff when Steve Bennett's last homemade rocket left the launch pad 14 months ago.
The rocket sped skywards, reaching more than 2,000 feet before gliding safely back to Earth. For Steve and Adrienne, it was a moment of sheer joy.
I'm over the moon with that. I don't think NASA could do a better job than that. It went textbook, straight up to an altitude of around about 2,000 feet, but I'll be able to check that when I check the computer, when I recover the rocket. Like I say, I'm relieved.
But this time, everything goes as planned.
Oh, I just want to collapse. Thank you, thank you.
Fantastic, really fantastic.
Oh,
Well,
And an attempt to launch Europe's largest homemade rocket has ended in disappointment. The 6-metre device was due to lift off in North Yorkshire on bonfire night, but the sugar-powered rocket didn't even leave the ground. Designer Stephen Bennett says he'll try again soon.
When you press the button, you see all the flame and all the fire shoot from the bottom of the rocket. It starts roaring. It's like a tornado jet sort of leaving the pad, and that's an amazing feeling.
Yes!
The launch was trouble-free. The rockets separated, the two parachutes deployed.
The rocket, Starchaser 2, soared 2,000 feet over the Otterburn training ranges before falling to Earth. For its maker, Steve Bennett, it was the culmination of years of experiments and research.
This was Steve Bennett's second attempt to launch Starchaser 2. The 21-foot-long rocket, fueled by a well-known brand of sugar, failed to leave the ground 2 months ago. As his latest creation was assembled for liftoff at the Otterburn training range in Northumberland, Steve's big moment was near.
I suppose I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm just pleased that it's all come together so well. The weather conditions are pretty good. We've got some cloud, but I don't think it's going to rain or snow on us. We'll be able to pull this off today.
It was also a big occasion for the Army, who'd agreed to help Steve in his record-breaking attempt.
We've basically provided him with the space to do it. We've got, as you know, a large space here, some 58,000 acres, and we've also got airspace above. So it was an ideal location for him to do it, and we were rather pleased that he asked us to join in with him.
Then the moment of truth arrived. Well, almost. The first countdown was aborted at the last second, after an aircraft was heard overhead. Then ignition and liftoff. The rocket soared to a height of almost 2,000 feet before the parachutes opened, bringing the rocket section safely back to Earth. For the lab technician from Manchester, who got his inspiration from Thunderbirds as a boy, this was his greatest triumph ever.
It was absolutely brilliant. I was over the moon with that shot. I've worked a long time on that project, around about 15 months, blood, sweat and tears, and it's finally paid off. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, second one stuck.
Yeah, but we've got that reserve for shooting it.
At 200. Come on, float.
away! Ha! It worked, Adrian. That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. What I'd actually wired into it was a contingency plan that if for some reason the second chute got snagged, there'd be a second switch to push out the second chute at 200 feet. And it just did that. It was a bit of a, you know, like a breath stopper, you know, a heart stopper, because it was coming down and, you know, was the second chute going to come out? Was it, wasn't it, was it, wasn't it? And it did. Brilliant. We got it back in 2 pieces, just as it should have gone up. I was very pleased with that one.
I've been up all night. I'm just living off the adrenaline. You know, when you've launched one of these things, all that emotion and everything drains out of you. So I'm looking forward to that bit when it's gone up and I go, oh, relax, you know, go to sleep for like 3 days or something. The electronics kept shorting out on the launch controller, so we had to sort of rig it up Heath Robertson style to get the thing off the pad. But we got it up there. It's proved that the rocket's stable. Where it's come down, we just don't know yet. We're going to have to try and locate that. My chap with the radar receiver is basically beavering away, trying his best to ascertain where the thing's come down.
Steve Bennett built the £70,000 Starchaser on Dartmoor. He hoped it would soar 15,000 feet, then drift back down to Earth on a parachute. Instead, the Starchaser took off as planned, but suddenly it swerved sideways and plummeted back down, crashing onto the moor where it caught fire. Mr. Bennett says he'll put it down to experience and try again.
3,000 feet into the air from dunes at Altcar Rifle Range. Our reporter, Jill Dummigan, was there to congratulate him.
Yes, we've just seen the perfect rocket launch here. The Tempest's just gone right into the sky, 3,000 feet. Now, I'm here with the rocket's inventor, Steve Bennett, and his wife, Adrian. Steve, this was to be a fantastic day for you.
Absolutely. I'm on top of the world. Everything works out exactly as planned. You know, it works out in the lab, but there's nothing like bringing it out into the field and putting the rocket through its paces, you know, to make sure you got your sums right. And it looks like we know what we're doing.
Just before you pressed that button, did you have a few last-minute nerves, or were you fairly confident?
Not at all. Up until pressing that button, I don't really think about it. I've got a job to do. I do the job. I press the button, then I start worrying. Oh, you know, and then I'm just a spectator like everybody else, you know. So the rocket goes, and yeah, you can let the emotion out. You can collapse in a heap, or shout, or jump about. You know, I can start to enjoy it then.
You've had a couple.
It's not often we can get away with using that expression, over the moon. But that's exactly what Steve Bennett was today. He's the man who's set his sights on the skies by building his own rocket. And we're very pleased to report that the launch was a great success. Here's Emily Knowles.
To say the atmosphere across Morecambe Bay this morning was electric is rather an understatement. Duckingfield rocket man Steve Bennett was at it again. The aim to reach new heights with his latest rocket, Starchaser 3A. It was expected to soar 20,000 feet into the air, accelerating to speeds of 700 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. And that's exactly what it did.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The rocket separated right on cue, and gently the two sections floated to the ground. Then the race was on to retrieve them from several miles down the beach at Floughborough in Cumbria. For Steve and the team, it was a dream which came true in spectacular fashion.
I'm feeling absolutely euphoric. I couldn't have wished for anything better. We deserved it though. We've put many years into this. We've put thousands of hours into it. A lot of money has gone into it. You know, we worked hard for this.
Did everything go to plan?
As far as we know, everything went according to plan. The rocket rose perfectly. From what we could see through binoculars, it was hitting something like 20,000 feet. We deployed the parachutes, and we saw it land softly over there, a couple of miles away. One of the projects we're working on is the SHARP series of rockets. And SHARP stands for Supersonic High Altitude Research Program. We've got various ideas and instruments we want to put on the big rockets, but it's expensive to launch big rockets, so we're launching a series of smaller rockets, and these are highly experimental, and we've been getting some very good results from them. Things get more and more frantic and more scary the closer you get to the launch. There's always last-minute problems and last-minute jobs to do.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Space tourism is going to be the big business of the early 21st century. A lot of experts predict that by 2010, space tourism is going to be worth $10 billion. It's a big market and potentially very lucrative, and I'm going to make sure that Starchaser has a piece of that pie. Discovery launch is by far the most complex rocket we ever put together. This is the first two-stage research rocket flown in Britain in the 20 years since Britain cancelled its Skylark program back in the late 70s. So to actually get this mission together and get the rocket to work, that really is an achievement. Pretty much when you're on site and you're working against the clock because you've just got a few hours now before you're meant to launch, and if you've got a slot booked with the aviation authorities, you've got to go when you've told them you're going to fly. So things get a bit tense. Starchaser Discovery generates something like 4 tons of thrust at liftoff. And when it's fully fueled up, fully configured, we could actually reach altitudes of about 120,000 feet.
Steve, very quickly. One last bit just here. Steve, can you just come quick?
Usually about an hour before the launch, we get the press coming along and taking a few snaps.
Actually work.
We'll do 0 to just short of 700 miles per hour in about 3 seconds.
The last few minutes before a launch, you can almost feel it. You could cut the air with a knife. There's so much tension. We give the countdown, and everybody's heart kind of misses a beat in that second between the launch button being pressed and the rocket actually lifting off.
Launching in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, off she goes.
There's parachute.
Where?
Oh! Yes!
You feel physically drained because you've been running on adrenaline for the last 36 hours, and then suddenly all that adrenaline's gone and you just want to collapse in a heap, you know. But it's a great feeling, and the team get a big buzz out of seeing these things come together.
Well done.
Every time we build a rocket,
It's bigger and more sophisticated than the last one. It's a slow, incremental climb from where I started off as an amateur with very small rockets to the ultimate goal of actually launching a reusable rocket capable of carrying people into space.
Aided by parachute and slided past, then fell back to Earth, and creator Steve Bennett said next time the rocket's going to be bigger and better than ever before.
Let's go on, clean her up, put her in a museum, because we're going to build something a lot bigger than this now.
Oh yes.
We've got a launch window set by the Civil Aviation Authority, which gives us between 10 a.m. in the morning and 10:30 in the morning, so we've got a 30-minute opportunity there. For the last few years, every launch we've done, we've had people working through the night. So you're pretty exhausted, but you're driving up to the launch site and you're just hoping that you've managed to cover everything on the checklist and that you've brought everything with you. We've got one heck of a team. Everybody works together, everybody pulls together, everybody mucks in to make it work. Morecambe Bay off the northwest coast of England is ideal for our purposes, particularly for low altitude flights, because we're talking about maybe 100 square miles of wet sand, no people, property or livestock to hit. Nova is something like 5 times more powerful than the Starchaser Discovery rocket we launched last year. It's 5 times more massive. It's actually capable of carrying a person all the way into space. So this really is going to be a milestone for us.
There's £6 million up for grabs to the first non-governmental organisation to launch 3 people into space. We're building a rocket to win that prize, and this is the precursor to that rocket. So today is a very, very important day for us.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Come on.
Capsule's okay.
Capsule's fine.
Opera glasses.
Pathetic goodbye.
Give it to one.
Get in a position where you can hide behind something. One. Woo-wee! Don't jerk off yet.
If it goes south, you've got to reset it.
Somebody get come round.
Slow, watch the wire if it starts opening.